Have you ever wondered why chicken eggs became everywhere? Even though duck eggs can actually be more nutritious? So why didn't humans simply choose duck eggs instead? The surprising answer has almost nothing to do with nutrition. It actually starts with something much simpler: availability. For thousands of years, people ate what they could find. And chickens happened to have one enormous advantage. They were basically tiny, incredibly efficient egg factories. They needed little space, ate widely, and laid eggs often. Ducks, on the other hand, had very different needs. Ducks, meanwhile, have a very different lifestyle. Many are naturally comfortable around water and wetlands. That difference may seem small at first, but environments can shape food habits for generations. Chickens became deeply integrated into human settlements. And then something even more powerful happened. People simply became used to chicken eggs. Think about how many foods depend on them: omelets, cakes, mayonnaise, pancakes, custards, biscuits. The chicken egg became more than just food. It became an ingredient people expected everywhere, and entire recipes were built around it. The humble chicken egg became a kitchen standard. But duck eggs are actually quite different. They aren't simply bigger chicken eggs. Their shells can be thicker and harder. Their yolks are typically larger too, and that changes how they behave when cooked. Duck eggs can produce a richer, creamier result, especially because their yolks contain more fat. That richness can make duck eggs incredibly appealing, but it can also make them less convenient. And then comes the nutritional paradox. Duck eggs can actually be nutritionally impressive, but there's an important detail hiding here. One duck egg is simply a larger serving, so you're partly comparing more food with less. More nutrients doesn't automatically mean healthier. Duck eggs also contain more fat and cholesterol, so more nutritious doesn't mean better for everyone. Your body doesn't judge food with one simple score. It cares about your entire diet instead. And taste creates another reason chicken eggs stayed popular. Duck eggs have a richer, more intense flavor. Some people absolutely love that richness. Others simply prefer the familiar chicken egg. And familiarity is much more powerful than we realize. If your parents ate chicken eggs, you probably did too. The same thing happens with countless everyday foods. Once something feels normal, everything else feels different. It has to overcome a powerful psychological barrier. People need to feel that unfamiliar food belongs. And duck eggs never became equally universal worldwide. But some cultures made duck eggs incredibly important. In parts of Asia, they're centuries-old traditions. One famous example is the salted duck egg. Salt curing creates an intensely rich, firm yolk. Other traditions preserve duck eggs even further. The finished egg can look surprisingly unfamiliar, but to locals, it's simply food. This reveals something important about how humans eat. We don't just eat what happens to be nutritious. Humans have eaten eggs from many different birds. But chicken eggs eventually became dominant worldwide. Chickens were exceptionally suited to domestication. They were adaptable enough to live alongside humans. Then technology amplified their natural advantage. Modern chicken farming completely transformed egg production. Selective breeding made hens dramatically more productive, and predictable supply chains changed everything. Eggs could now be collected, graded, and packaged efficiently. Then they could travel through predictable supply chains. Stores could keep huge quantities constantly available. Chicken farming became an enormous industrial system. Farmers, trucks, stores, and processors all connected. That made chicken eggs incredibly easy to find, and mass production helped keep their prices low. Duck eggs never reached that same global scale. So, supermarkets naturally filled with chicken eggs. The entire food system began favoring chickens. So why are chicken eggs everywhere today? Because an entire food system grew around them. Farmers, feed, breeding, processing, transportation, and retail. Every part of the system became highly specialized. Egg production became faster, larger, and more predictable. Then those eggs could travel almost anywhere. Stores could keep them constantly stocked and available. More eggs meant lower prices and more consumers. More consumers encouraged even larger production. And the cycle made chicken eggs even cheaper. Duck eggs simply never reached that industrial scale. That's why supermarkets often have none. But that doesn't mean chicken eggs are superior. They aren't necessarily the most nutritious option. The real difference is the entire food system. Farmers, feed, breeding, processing, transportation, retail. Even recipes became built around chicken eggs. Consumers simply kept buying what was familiar. Food popularity depends on much more than nutrition. The commonest food isn't automatically the best one. Popularity doesn't necessarily mean nutritional superiority. So why don't nutritionists tell everyone to switch? Because nutrition is really about trade-offs. Your body doesn't judge food with one score. It depends on the entire diet and lifestyle. A duck egg can still be an excellent food, especially if you love rich yolks and extra nutrients. Chicken eggs simply offer unmatched everyday convenience. The smarter question isn't which egg is healthier, it's which egg fits your diet best. For some people, duck eggs are an excellent choice. For others, the whole diet matters more. That's why nutrition is always about trade-offs. A duck egg can absolutely fit a healthy diet, especially if you love that rich, creamy yolk. Chicken eggs win on convenience and availability. They're familiar, affordable, and incredibly easy to use. Neither egg is a magical superfood, but both eggs share one important safety concern. Raw or undercooked eggs can carry harmful bacteria. So whether it's chicken or duck, handle eggs safely. Both can potentially carry harmful bacteria. Proper storage is part of keeping eggs safe, and thorough cooking adds another important layer. A thicker duck shell doesn't make eggs bacteria-proof. The same basic safety principles apply to both. Store them properly, handle them carefully, and cook them. Then both can fit comfortably into everyday meals. The shell alone doesn't eliminate food safety risks, and now we're back to the original mystery. So why didn't humans simply abandon chicken eggs? Because nutrition was never the only deciding factor. Humans choose food through biology, economics, and culture. Chicken eggs won that competition generations ago, and every generation kept reinforcing that choice. Eventually, chicken eggs became the world's default. So the ordinary egg isn't necessarily the best, it's the product of history, farming, and habit. The entire world simply built around chicken eggs, and that's why duck eggs never had to win. You aren't necessarily eating the most nutritious egg. You're eating the egg history made ordinary. Because humans don't choose food by nutrition alone. Generations of habits can become incredibly powerful, and chicken eggs became deeply embedded everywhere, in supermarkets, kitchens, restaurants, and family breakfasts. Duck eggs didn't lose because they were bad. They simply never became equally universal. Sometimes, food becomes popular because humans keep choosing it, generation after generation, until it feels completely normal. Chicken eggs won that competition long before supermarkets existed. And once they became common, everything changed. The world slowly built an enormous system around them. So next time you crack open a chicken egg, remember you're not necessarily eating the most nutritious egg. You're eating the egg history helped make ordinary. Generation after generation, people kept choosing it. Farming, culture, economics, and convenience reinforced that choice. Duck eggs didn't lose because they were bad. They simply never needed to win the same race. You're eating the egg history made the default, because food popularity is shaped by much more. Availability can matter more than nutritional superiority, and habits can survive for generations. Chicken eggs simply fit the entire system better. Families kept choosing what already felt familiar. Eventually, that choice became almost invisible. The ordinary chicken egg became the worldwide default. Duck eggs didn't lose because they were bad. Sometimes humans simply decide what becomes normal. The most common food isn't always the best. Sometimes the entire system decides what becomes popular, and chicken eggs fit that system perfectly. Then families passed that preference from generation to generation, until chicken eggs became completely ordinary. Not because nutrition declared them the winner, but because history gave them countless advantages. Duck eggs remained valuable, just in different ways. They didn't lose the race, they followed another path. And sometimes humans decide what becomes normal.